So this is my 26 xb2c carpet buggy, and I was just gonna do a little review on it and what I thought about it so far. This is the first year that I ever ran carpet buggies or anything like that, so pretty new to it and getting it figured out here. But the season up here is coming to an end in March, so by the time I get pretty decent at it, it'll probably be over. But anyway, here's the buggy, and I'm gonna go over the buggy first, and then I'll talk about what I think about it and stuff like that as I go. But this body I just painted like this. I don't know why, but I got tired of I just made some weird paint job on it. I don't even know. Just put tape on it, kind of made it like a camo look to it, but with bright colors, because that's one thing I was gonna say for sure. I'll go over some pointers here if you're new getting into this, but some pointers to this too is paint your body as bright as you can, because you want to be able to see your car. It's hard enough to tell where they're at on the track as it is, especially when there's multiple cars out there. You definitely don't want to paint your car like just a generic color, especially if you're at the track and there's other cars there that color, because you're going to get mixed up, especially if you're running out there on the track with a bunch of people at the same time. So paint your car a color that sticks out. That'd be my one recommendation for sure. So I painted that. I always stick with purple and yellow and white. That's just the colors I stuck with, and I think going with yellow rims is a good idea too, because they're really bright, especially if, like my track, the barriers around the track and the walls are white, so white rims kind of blend in with it. So you definitely don't want to have a white car with white rims. You'll probably never be able to see where you're at hardly good. It's hard to tell like your depth perception with these things, honestly. Like, you gotta really have it set up the colors that don't blend in with anything at the track. So maybe before you paint your body, go to the track, check it out, and just see what color the walls are and like the little barriers around the track. Ours is like pipes, kind of, I think. It almost looks like spouting or something, but it's like white, so that's why I went with yellow. But other than that, I painted this wing right now, but I usually just keep them clear. That's another thing to think about too. You're gonna go through a wing. This one's already broke on both sides. You're gonna go through a wing every practice day, most likely at the track, especially if there's guys out there running short course trucks and stuff, because there'll be some young kids out there with short course trucks, and they'll just plow your car over if you're upside down the straightaway. They'll hit you and just ramp right over you pretty much, and just monster truck right over one of these buggies, and then right there your wings broke. Like, it doesn't take much. I mean, buggies will sometimes get in contact with you, but there'll always be somebody that runs into you, especially if them things hit you from the back too. Hits the wing right in there, usually cracks it too. So a lot of different scenarios. I mean, you can crack your wing yourself just wrecking, but these front wings also don't last. This is like the third one I put on. These things are like, I don't even know, $8 a piece or something, and they last like one track day before they're like totally mangled. So think about this before you get into the hobby. It's not that cheap when it comes to this stuff, because literally, if you're just talking the entry fee to get in the track, you're at, my track's $10 for practice. I'm just talking about to go to practice for now if you're getting into it. $10 to practice. You go through about, you don't have to replace this front wing every time, but your back wing, that's one time. I mean, I could run this again, it's still functioning, but I would say every like 2 times you're probably going to completely have a destroyed rear wing if your track's anything like the track I go to. It could be completely different, but I don't know. So anyway, besides that, bodies, I'm on my 3rd body of the season. My last one's cracked and the first one's still okay, so the other one I'm using as my practice body. Then this will be my race body, so I'm only going to run that one to race with. And I have a couple wings. They sell 2-packs. Just buy a 2-pack, and I would recommend just gluing these suckers back together and keep running them as much as you can, get the most use out of them you can, because if you replace them every time they get cracked, you're going to have a lot of money in the wings. So besides that, This is a 17.5 setup. So this is the Xray xb2c 2026. 2025 isn't a whole lot different from what I heard. A couple guys still running them and convert them to the 26s. They're really not a whole lot difference according to them, but I didn't look into it too much. But this is a Tekin RS Pro speed control, or yeah, speed control, and it's a 17.5 G4 Spec R, I think it is. Oh, G4 Spec R2, the newest Tekin 17.5 turns, adjustable timing and stuff. It's pretty fast. I mean, there's faster ones probably out there than this, faster motors, but I mean, for the most part, I got this one for a good deal. So I already had a Tekin ESC because I had a 13.5, because I originally took my motor and stuff out of a four-wheel drive buggy I bought. That's another thing I'll bring up quick, I guess. I originally thought I wanted a four-wheel drive buggy, and I got a B74.2 like fully set up, ready to go with this and a 13.5, not this motor, but this ESC 13.5, everything top of the line, and the guy was like really good and had it set up good. And I tried to drive that thing on my track, and that thing was super hard to drive, so I ended up wrecking a lot. So I ended up just going to a two-wheel drive buggy. So if I was you and you're getting into this, I'm pretty sure four-wheel drive buggy is like after you go, when you're like a pro driver at this point, or you're really good and you've been doing it for years, then you go to four-wheel drive buggy if you want. But two-wheel drive buggy, I would say, is a better class to start in. Some people start in 21.5. That's probably what I should have got, but I didn't want to get a 21.5 and then be bored with it and then want a 17.5 a couple weeks later. So I was running a 13.5, obviously, because that's what I put the electronics out of the other buggy and sold that as a roller. So this, with a 17, I had a 13.5 in this thing for like 2 months of practice and just went to the 17.5. So a 21.5 is like so slow versus a 13.5. So a 17.5 is still fast. So this thing's pretty fast. I mean, I can hold it wide open probably over halfway to 3/4 of the way around the track now. The car's getting pretty dialed in. I'm getting it close. I'm about a second off the fastest guys there, and there's some sponsored pro drivers at my track, so I feel like that's pretty decent for only being into it for, like I said, I think I've been in it about, this is probably about my 9th practice day now, I would say. And 2 of those I took the all-wheel drive car, and then the rest of the like 7 were with this. So I don't know, I'm pretty happy with that so far, for not doing it before and stuff like that. This car is pretty decent to drive. The Huddy steering parts though, the ones, I forget, they're like, I forget what they call them. It says right there, the ones that go back and forth and they go to like the rack part. There's 2 of them. I snapped one in half the other week. They're cast aluminum, so just because this Huddy stuff sounds like it's like really nice and expensive, it's not built out of billet or anything like that, so it's not as strong as you might think. I've heard of people breaking these servo horns, and with this car, if you do get one of these, you'd need the xb2c Huddy servo arm, because it has to go so far forward there to get it to the right spot, which in my opinion is a weak spot. They should have made this thing thicker a little bit or something, or made it out of billet or something. I don't know why you would make that out of cast, but people are like, oh, well, if that doesn't break, then other stuff will break. It's like, I'd rather rip an arm off of this thing than, the whole reason I did the aluminum steering, my philosophy was, because this stuff in here is a pain in the ass to replace, and if you can break an arm off of this thing, or pop a ball stud out or whatever, and you can fix it in like 2 minutes. I have all extra arms, but like in here you have to tear all this apart and do all this stuff. It takes like 15-20 minutes to fix that, so that was a pain in the butt. I ended up fixing that last time at the track, but that part's broken, and I'm just back to plastic ones, as you can see in there. It's those parts there. It's one there, one there. I forget the name of them things, but anyway, I still have the Xray rack in there, and you need that if you want to move your servo to the farthest forward position and not have much spacers in here, because you don't want any more spacer on this thing than you need, because it's already long and it's already a lot of leverage on it, and I think that's why a lot of guys are breaking them. So I would recommend only running the spacer that they put on there for the kit version. It's like a tapered spacer for clearance so the steering doesn't bind and stuff. I'll just run that spacer, Loctite that ball stud in there, put the longest ball stud you have in there, thread in the farthest possible for strength, and then Loctite that in there, and that's a one-time deal. Leave it there. Probably buy an extra one of them if you're serious about it, because no tracks have an arm that'll work on this thing in stock unless they sell Xray parts. I have the 160 TBL ProTech servo in here, and that's pretty nice so far. I haven't had any issues with that. I did the Huddy 35 gram weight, and this fan I had to burn up, or no, my other fan, the wires ripped off somehow. Last time I was at the track, I overheated my whole electronics, shut my car down, so everything's fine so far, but I would recommend running them wires under there and protecting them. I ran my sensor wire right here underneath that plate. That's why I like that plate too, other than just weight. You need the weight in this car to make it legal. It's too light from the factory, so you got to put weight in it anyway. You might as well just double-sided tape one of these Huddy things down and put your wires under there. I mean, there's a lot cleaner ways to do the wiring. I wanted this wire to be purple too instead of red, and then all my wires would have been purple and black, but I'd also like to shorten all these down and get rid of all that mess there, but I don't know how to do that, so I didn't do it yet. But overall though, I would say this car has been pretty solid, and like I said, nothing's really aftermarket on the car besides, I guess, just the servo or the steering horn and the rack right now. It comes with titanium turnbuckles, titanium top standoffs for the shocks and stuff like that. Another thing I was gonna say too about the, oh no, you need this. I did this aluminum Xray part up here too, the Huddy part for the ball stud mounts in the front. Do that part, and then the block under here that holds the arms, the front lower arm mount, get one of them too, because I broke that first time to the track. And then just buy extra arms, so when you hit something, if you do a wall or anything hard, just break an arm off, front or rear. I've already done both. And you can just pull the new arm or slap a new arm on there in a couple minutes and you're back on the track. But other than that though, I mean, the car's basically stock. I just set it up how the box says, and I'll even tell you what I did do it other than that to adjust it a little bit to get it to drive a little better even yet. I took the spacer that they say to put in there, took it out, ran no spacer, and then put the spacer under here to help with bump steer. Guy at the track that's really fast recommended to do that, and it did help the car, I think, drive better. I'm running 3DPs on the front now. That's another talking point I was thinking about, is these tires. I was running fuzz bites on the rear and the front, but I was going through a set of front fuzz bites every track day. So that's another thing to think about. And these 3DPs, I'll just go with these from the gate and set your car up to work with them because they last a lot longer. And I just run fuzz bites on the back, 3DPs on the front then.